Okay, this is Algebra 1, Lesson 22. Today in this lesson, we're going to just review what expressions are, both numerical and algebraic, and statements and sentences and conditional equations. So basically, we said, what is an expression? We said a numerical expression is any of these. For instance, 4, 6 plus 3, 4 times 2 plus 3, 7 times 8 plus 4, over 5 plus 2. These are all numerical expressions because they consist of different arrangements of numbers and symbols, and that designate a certain operation, the operation of multiplication, addition, division there. We also said that each expression represents a value of the expression. For instance, this represents 4, this is 9, this is 20, and this is 12. We use the words algebraic expression to describe a numerical expression and also to describe expressions that contain variables. For instance, x plus 4. That is also a numerical expression, an algebraic expression. Saying that, okay, let's go review on statements and sentences. We said we can make sentences in quantities that are equal or not equal. We can do so by writing a grammatical sentence in English. So, the number of peaches equals the number of apples. The number of peaches does not equal the number of apples. The number of peaches is less than the number of apples, and so on and so on. If we use variables to designate it, for instance, we might say n of p and n of a. And this might represent the number of peaches, or this might represent the number of apples. And we can use symbols like equal, not equal, greater than, or less than. And remember, when we read these, we read from left to right. Oops, you can't see this. When we read these symbols, we read from left to right. So we've got, this is a greater than sign, it's a less than sign. And also remember, this opening always will face the bigger number. The closing always faces the smaller number, in case you forget. So we can write sentences like, number of peaches is equal to the number of apples. We can say it's not equal to the number of apples. We can say it's greater than or less than. So any of these are we can use in between, depending on what the values are. Now we see that all four are called statements or sentences. Okay, but only this one uses an equal sign. So this algebraic statement is called an equation. So when you have an equal sign, it's called an equation. When you've got these two, they're called, or even this one, they're called inequalities. Okay? So right now we're just going to stick with the equation. So what's an equation? It's an algebraic statement that has two expressions connected by an equal sign. So in order to have an equation, you must have an equal sign. If you don't have an equal sign, you don't have an equation. You just simply have a numerical or an algebraic expression. So for instance, if we look at page 96, 22.c, it's 4 equals 3 plus 1. 4 plus x equals 2 plus 2 plus x. 4 equals x, so on and so on. If you look at them, equations are not always true, as we see here. So let's look at C. Let's look at A. Yes, that's true. 4 equals 3 plus 1. That is a true statement. Look at the next one. 4 plus x equals 2 plus 2 plus x. That one is true regardless of the number we use as a replacement for x. We will demonstrate it. So, for instance, look at the middle. They've got your example there, and they're going to replace that particular one with a negative 3. So they're using 4 plus x equals 2 plus 2 plus x, and we're replacing x with a negative 3. What do we get? We get a 1 and a 1. And that's true. Now let's replace it with 7. So 4 plus 7 equals 2 plus 2 plus 7 is 11. And that is also a true statement. So those two equations are true. So let's look at C. It says 4 equals 6. That's false because 4 does not equal 6. And look at D. It's 4 plus x equals 6 plus 6. X. If we replace -3 in there, we get a false statement. So you have 4 plus a -3 equals 6 plus -3. That's simply 1 equals 3. That's false. And if we replace D with 7, we get 4 plus 7 equals 6 plus 7. So 11 equals 13. So these are false. Those are false equations, so those aren't always true. So let's look at E. It says x plus 4 equals 8. This one is called a conditional equation because its true or falsity is conditioned by the number used to replace x. So we use 4, it's true. But if we use -2, we're going to get 2 equals 8, and it's going to be a false statement. So replacement values of the variable that turn the equation into a true equation, like 4 would be a replacement value, are called solutions or roots. So this is a term you need to get used to. We've heard solutions before, but now we're introduced to another one called roots. It just means a solution, that's all, of the equation are said to satisfy the equation. So let's look at example 22.1. It says, does -2 or +5 satisfy the equation? So remember we talked about in math, there's a lot of synonyms. So there's a lot of different ways to call things, and you got to know them. So the equation is x squared equals -5x minus 6. So we're going to replace -2 and see what we get. So we're going to get 4 equals -5 times -2 minus 6. 4 equals, that is +10 minus 6. So that is a true statement. Let's try and see if 5 works in for that particular equation. So we're going to have 25, which is 5 squared, -5 times 5 minus 6. 25 equals -25 minus 6 is -31. That is a false. So in this particular equation, -2 is a solution and +5 is not a solution. So let's go down and look at example 22.2. -2 or +5 is -2 or +5 a root of the equation. They're simply saying, is it a solution? Remember, root and solution are synonyms, so don't let those new words throw you off. So basically, all you're doing is x squared minus 3x equals 10. You're just simply putting in -10, so it's 4 minus 3 times -2 equals 10. 4 minus 6 equals 10. That's plus. So 10 equals 10. So it's always true. So -2 is a root of this equation. Let's try and see if 5 is a root, +5. So we've got 25 minus 3 times 5 equals 10. 15 equals 10. And 10 equals 10. So that is also true. So both -2 and 5 are roots of this equation here. Do practice all your practice problems, just A and B. And your code is put Texans on the top of homework number 19. See you in class.